All right, so I want to give you guys a little bit of context. All right, so the reason I'm even talking about this topic or whatever is because of a guy. His name is Dr. Honda. He runs this podcast called the Psychology in Seattle, and he's one of my favorite podcasters. Smart guy, I would say, genius, great guy, right? Okay, but I just don't feel that it's right that a person is going around, um, and I'm not saying, oh, well, he's giving, false information and he's going around polluting the world. Because the truth is, in my opinion, he's doing more good than harm, and not even harm. I mean, you know, but you got to understand, 1% off is going to, create huge problems for some people. Okay, I remember walking, okay, I don't know, back from somewhere or whatever, and I'm just stressing over something that he said. It's like he said something along the lines of, um, you know, we humans think that we're independent, or that we, you know, can be independent, but we can't be independent because we're interdependent people. Okay, which means that my happiness, do you understand what that means? Do you understand what that means? So that means that all the scientists, okay, who are locked up in fucking rooms all day without family and friends, okay, that are giving and sacrificing their lives, okay, to, make the world a better place. He's basically saying, you know what, they can't survive, okay, without having, somebody pat them on the back and saying, good job. And then you see the pattern in his own life, right? So Dr. Honda yesterday in one of his podcasts or whatever said something along the lines of, oh, well, I had this, I was, I was going to do this, I don't know, some thesis paper or something like that. This thesis was going to be on something that was a little bit of a provocative topic. Okay, and then his teacher said, you really don't want to do that, because the way that people look at you is going to, have a huge effect on you and all this other types of stuff, and you don't want to do that. Okay, and so he didn't do it. Okay, so there's somebody who is on the verge of discovering something great, doing some amazing work, and they're supposed to stop, okay, because, oh, you know what, the people around you aren't going to like it, and it's going to make a little bit of a mess, and the powers that be are going to piss on themselves, okay, if, things are not status quo. So, you kind of need to go back and hide in the closet like fucking Harry Potter. Okay? And that attitude, or that mentality, or that sort of, you need other people, you depend on other people, is just wrong. It's completely and utterly and totally wrong, because if Dr. Honda said something like, you know what, I don't give a F about what these people think, or if they like my paper, or if they're going to judge me or not. I know this is good work. I know this is good information. I know that this is potent. And so I'm going to do the work, and I'm going to, see where it goes, right? Then he'd be so much better off, right? The world would be a better place. And frankly, you'd have to wonder about the intelligence level of someone who doesn't see the value in in the work that he was doing. And furthermore, it's like, are we just supposed to arbitrarily follow some ghost that we don't see because they say that we're supposed to do things this way and not that way? And so that is what he is making himself vulnerable to by having that attitude. Okay? That is the energy that he is making himself vulnerable to by having that attitude. Okay? And me personally, it's like, oh, well, everybody's going to think you're Hitler, okay, if you save this children's hospital, okay, because that's just how the outcome is going to happen. That's just how the blowback is going to be. That's just the way things are, okay? Maybe in 100 years, people will finally realize the truth, but today, they're going to think that you're Hitler, okay? Do you save the children's hospital? According to Dr. Honda and his theory, okay, it's like, no, you don't save the children's hospital. You save your own skin. I can't get behind that. Okay? Then today, I'm listening to the beautiful podcast that I love, that is mostly right. Okay? And he has this theory, or, he says something along the lines of, oh, Kanye West shouldn't call himself a genius and all this other types of stuff. That's for other people to do. And I completely agree. Okay. And then he says something along the lines of, what's really supposed to happen is you're supposed to just know inside of yourself, okay, that you are the greatest, or that you're doing some great work. And, even if people don't like you, okay, you're still supposed to do the work, okay, and, because you actually have confidence and self-esteem. What? Just yesterday, he was basically implying with his words, which is the only way he can imply pretty much, okay, that oh, I'm supposed to depend on other people. And even me, as a grad student, okay, was so dependent. Like, how do we know that story that he's telling us was not last year? Do you see what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like, and then I make the comment and I pose the question in the forum, where the people comment. Now, most of these people, there's a lot of great people there, but a lot of these people are, doctor suckers, right? So it's like, oh, you've got a title? Oh, let me kiss up to you. Let me kiss up to you. Oh, you have a name? You have a couple 100,000 people? Oh, you've merely made a connection with me. Let me kiss up to you. Let me kiss up to you. This obvious flaw, we're just going to blindly ignore so that we can kiss up to you. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't have fans. I'm not saying he shouldn't have diehard fans or anything like that. Okay? He should have diehard fans. I'm a diehard fan. Okay? But he should know that when I say great effing episode, I mean it. And I'm not just saying it from a place of illogical, pandering. And I'm actually saying it from a place of, I've thoroughly researched and analyzed the situation, and this is what I find to be true. Okay? Then I hear another podcast, and he's like, oh, men, there's a lot of men's issues and things like that. There's a lot of men's issues, and men have issues. And, I used to stand up for myself and stand up for men's issues, but I'm in an environment that's 85, 95% women. Okay, so, this is not the context for me to stand up for men's issues. Okay, and I understand that. It's like, yo, I'm in a preschool right now. Okay, I don't want to tell these kindergartners the reason that I'm not giving them a popsicle. Okay, just hide the box of popsicles until you get home. Okay, and then utilize the popsicles. You don't want to show them the popsicles. They're going to have a frenzy, right? But now he has his own shop. He has his own people, and he's supposed to be helping people to the highest extent. Do you understand? It's like a railroad. Let's say you have two parallel railroad tracks. And now let's say you're to move the left one to the left, say 1 degree. Okay? You wouldn't really be able to tell the difference up close. But you go down a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles away, you could be standing on the left track and not be able to see the right track because you're so far away. Okay? Little changes have huge consequences. And so it's very important that every little thing makes sense. Okay? And so I understand the urge to read into the situation. Frankly, I have to read into the situation because I can't necessarily 100% depend that the information is completely accurate. And that's okay. And I'll tell you what, it's even harder to do because so much of the information is accurate. It's like, he's been right about the last 12 things. And now this 13th thing, he's fumbling the ball. Like, that is hard to deal with. That's hard, but that's my job. That's a role that I've taken on. And I think that Dr. Honda should take on that role as well. And this Dr. Honda has people that are riding with him and that are supporting him and are supportive of him and, don't want to see him fumble the ball and all this other types of stuff. And so they're, explaining what he should have explained. It's like, how somebody says, somebody makes a wild ass comment. Okay. And then they say, and then there's somebody who's like, I don't know, the wife or something like that. And they're like, oh, well, what he really means is da 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 blah 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 blah. And he's translating for the guy who just made this wild. But this guy's supposed to be the genius. Okay. He shouldn't need a translator. I'm not saying you shouldn't translate. In fact, I think you should. And I'm glad you did. Because if I was truly conflicted, then yeah, that translation would be very helpful. Me saying, hey, 1 minute you saying this, the next minute you saying this, okay, this shit doesn't make any sense. Okay, that is extremely, I know that it doesn't make any sense. Do you see what I'm saying? I know it doesn't make any sense, and I'm alerting him that it doesn't make any sense. Okay? And then it's like, you say you're trying to help people, you say you're trying to help women, you're trying to help men, and all this other types of stuff. You want to help people, right? But you know that if you have certain beliefs and attitudes, that it's just gonna be stomped all over. Okay, that you're gonna get negative feedback or something like that. But should that be your concern? Isn't it Mr. I'm broken and lost and heartbroken if you guys don't give me a like. Okay, which I understand. I understand that position because it's like, okay, well, people need to know that I'm a vulnerable, real person anyway, so I might play it up a little bit. And that's not a big deal. That's not a problem. I don't fault him for that. Okay? But then, 2 minutes later, he's saying, hey, you know what? You know, you should be able to stand on your own too. You should be able to go into a world where everybody hates you, okay, and still have a sense of value and self. Okay, okay, that sounds great. That sounds great. That's actually great. That's a great thing. That's a great idea. Then he has a podcast over here that's talking about, hey, you know what? You know what? I gave up and I buckled under the pressure and all this other types of stuff. But and the thing is it's not. This isn't an isolated incident. This is all boiling down to one huge trend that I see within his entire body of work. And it's like, okay, so let's say like this, right? So he just had this podcast, right? And he talks about how he wants to change that here's 10 things that you should know if you're going to be counseling or doing therapy with men, right? And he says, hey, in graduate school, it's like 80% women. And, whenever we talk about the victim, it's a woman. Whenever we talk about, the bad guy, it's the man. You see what I'm saying? And we kind of continue on that path. All of the neural pathways in his brain, it seems like, are directed in that particular direction, or grooved in that particular direction. Like, and I get it, and all this other types of stuff, right? But he wants to help people, right? Well, if he wants to help people, that includes women, it's like women should have a very clear understanding that, yeah, sometimes women are perpetrators, and man can be the victim, and this and that, and this and that. And I'm not saying that he doesn't do that, but I'm saying is he'll have say like a podcast, right? And it'll be something like, okay, Bill Cosby, right? Okay, and so it's like, Bill Cosby's a bad guy, right? And I get it. But let's really look at this situation and analyze it as clear and as clear as possible. Okay? Wait, let me just make sure this shit's recording, because I'm not sure. Yeah, it's still recording. Okay. Let's analyze this shit as clearly as possible. So, he has a podcast that talks about, Bill Cosby is the bad guy, right? And it talks about, his, the psychology of Bill Cosby and all this other type of stuff. What kind of person would drug women, right? But there's so much evidence that proves or that points to the fact that, hey, there's a lot of women out there that are liars. Hey, this dude used to be a freaking playboy to the extreme back in the 70s, right? Hey, Quaaludes were, like candy. The Quaaludes were like marijuana back in the early 70s. There's entire articles on that shit. Look, and in fact, just type in Quaaludes, marijuana, disco biscuit, and Time, like Time magazine, or maybe it's New York Times or something like that. And the article should pop up. Disco biscuits. That's what they used to call them back then, right? Everybody was doing them. It was handed out like cookies. Okay, it was what people did, right? But now they're looking at yesterday's behavior like it's today's behavior. Do you see what I'm saying? And he's just going to ignore that, okay, because he knows that if he mentions it, it's going to cause an uproar. Okay, so he's not 100% real. He's like 90%, 92%. But is that truly helpful to the nth degree to its fans? Even if 88% of his fans are women, is that helpful to them? Oh, well, you know what? This is going to be a little bit uncomfortable to hear. So, you know what? We're just going to leave that out. We're just going to skip over the parts where, Quaaludes, everybody was popping Quaaludes. And the fact that, that there was an entire Quaalude epidemic, okay, in the early 70s. And the fact that, half of his cases came from those early times. And we're just going to ignore the fact that he's been with 1,000, 2,000 women, okay? And we're just going to ignore the fact that he was an enormous star who was actually handsome. He's not handsome today. Today we can joke about him. He makes a Jell-O pudding pop face. He looks hella goofy. You see what I'm saying? It's memeable. And that's the whole reason that it works. If it was Johnny Depp, okay, who was accused of the same thing, he's not as memeable because he's handsome and he's young and, they wanted it. And that's the attitude. But guess what? Dr. Honda doesn't have to blindly follow that attitude as well. He doesn't have to say, oh, well, you know what? We can give Johnny Depp a pass. Okay, because my audience isn't going to care about Johnny Depp, but oh man, if I say Cosby, they're just going to have a fit, right? That's the same exact thing as him going back and being in graduate school or wherever, okay, and him saying, I'm going to do this paper on this taboo topic, and the guy saying, no, you shouldn't do that, you're going to be labeled a certain way, and him saying, well, you know what, I care more about the actual piece of paper than I care about doing the work. So I'm going to just, submit to whatever they're saying and just go along with it. I'm going to play nice. And whatever answer they want to hear, that's the answer that I'm going to give them. Okay? And if they want to hear me say that Cosby's an evil guy, or if they want to hear me say, dump Trump or whatever, and whatever gets those likes and those comments up. And I'm not saying that he's doing that. I'm not saying that he's doing that, and I'm not saying that that's his whole purpose. I'm saying that I'm pretty sure that Dr. Honda is very conflicted when it comes to matters of how he parses his information and which side he decides to pander to, right? Or not pander, but there's got to be a better word than that. I just can't think of it right now. Like, that he decided to cater to, right? When technically it ought to be unbiased, not fake unbiased, but actually unbiased, right? So are we going to ignore the fact that Disco Biscuits were, all the rage back in the 70s? Are we going to ignore the fact that most of the cases where, he was charged of this or that is from back in the 70s when everybody was doing it? Are we going to forget about the fact that are we going to forget about the fact that it just seems so cliche and so funny that people tend to latch to funny things more than they latch to other things? There's plenty of people who do crimes and get in trouble, but if it's funny and it's something we can laugh about, and it's something we can say, dump Trump. There's, what is it called? Alliteration? When something rhymes or something like that, whatever you want to call it. Oh, that's a funny statement. Wacko Jacko. Oh, that's funny. Oh man, did you see the I just moonwalked and used the M word, molester, whatever, in the same, sentence. Oh, I'm so funny. Okay, we don't care if he's innocent or not. It's funny. And it seems like certain people on the internet are like, you know what? I don't want to, interrupt their fun. Okay. So I'm going to just read from the textbook. I'm just going to read from the textbook. Okay. And whatever side the society's on is the side that I'm going to ride for. You see what I'm saying? So for example, right? Okay. They just did, he just did this whole analysis or breakdown of the situation with this girl who had supposedly sexually assaulted this guy, right? And so this girl was needy and she was following the guy and this and that and the other and da-da-da-da-da, right? And Dr. Honda is, oh my God, this is terrible. This is terrible. I can't bear to hear how this person has been hurt and damaged. This is so troubling to me, which I understand. That's great, and I respect it. But the fact is, this is a whole other side of the story, right? So, for example, in that particular story with, I think her name is like Sienna Gomez, okay? And then like some guy, I think his name is Tyler something or other or whatever, right? Are we just going to forget about the fact that he's on tape, okay? And he is engaging with her in a very flirtatious way. Okay. Now, obviously, it doesn't give her permission to flirt with her in a flirtatious way. But if 1 minute, it's just like this, right? It's just like, let's say, imagine this, right? Now keep in mind, we come from a generation, and I'm not saying it's right, where people pants each other. People pants each other. Pantsing, somebody pulls down another person's pants, right? And it's a joke or whatever. It's like a whole cultural thing or whatever. It's been going on for the last 30 years or something. It's supposed to be this funny joke or whatever, right? We come from a culture where joking on somebody and calling them ugly is considered funny, or pulling down somebody's pants and pantsing somebody is considered funny in certain circles, right? Now, my son pantses some guy that pantsed him, right? Did my son sexually abuse that kid that he pulled his pants down? He did what the culture said he was supposed to do, right? And we're just gonna ignore the fact that my son got his pants pulled down too, right? These are the rules that we both accepted. We both clicked in and said, I accept the rules of engagement. Okay? Now, if it was somebody, an outsider, who didn't know the rules of engagement, and then you try to do something like that, then that's a little bit different. So, let me go back to my story. Culturally, we're sarcastic, and we're joking, and we're, it's all a game and this and that, right? And it's all jokey, fun, and all this other types of stuff, right? She's a 17-year-old girl, right? Just yesterday, she was engaging in this guy in a physical way on TikTok, right? He was getting tons of followers and tons of viewers and tons of, people saying this and tons of people saying that and all this other types of stuff. Then she attempts to continue the same thing away from the camera. And sometimes he lets her, and sometimes he doesn't. Okay? And he's got the sarcastic pantsing culture, attitude of nothing matters, everything's nonchalant, everything's cool. So she's thinking everything's cool. She's thinking, okay, well, I'm playing my role as the pursuer, and he's playing his role as my bitch. Okay? And he doesn't know, and she doesn't know that, yo, this dude is like, and then, like, how much flip-flopping are we going to do? Right? How much flip-flopping are we going to do? Okay? Let's just say that in some weird world, right? Now, I'm looking at the guy and I'm analyzing the guy, and I'm not saying that gaydar is a real thing. Okay? There are tons of gay people who swear to God that gaydar exists. Okay? But I'm not here to confirm or deny it. Okay? But one with gaydar might say that this kid, Tyler, whoever, okay, is gay. Right? And that's fine. You know, people entitled to do or be whoever they want to be, do whatever. Right? He's gay, but, you know, he kind of enjoys being bitched around and being treated like a little fuck toy, like a F toy, and being, you know, treated like a little B. Okay? And being dominated in that way. And Sienna or whoever, she felt comfortable in that position. Okay? And so that's a role that they got comfortable in. Okay? And she personally enjoys it. He personally enjoys it. Okay? So let's say the kid's in purgatory, the middle ground, right? Kid's in purgatory. All right? Has no opinion. He goes through door A. It's a bunch of people who say, oh, that stuff that you do with Sienna is so funny. Oh, that's so cool. I love you guys. Oh, my God. You know, here's a Nike shoe deal. You know, here's a fucking Adidas deal. Here's, you know, a bunch of money. You know, here, let me endorse you. Right? Keep in mind, he's right up the middle. Okay? He's right up the middle. And he's played the victim the whole time. But the victim is kind of a game, in fact, because everything's sarcastic in this world view anyway. Right? So it's not even really certain if you're the victim or you're just being dramatic, because you exist in a sarcastic universe where everything's a joke. Right? And you take everything as a joke and everything's whatever. Right? But deep in your heart, you don't have any opinion at all. Right? You're like, oh, you know, this girl makes me feel good. I'm gay and I prefer guys, but I do enjoy the banter that me and Sienna have. Okay? Group A, he goes into the room. He's offered shoe deals, everything. Everybody loves Sienna. Okay, Group B is people who want to find a common enemy. Okay, so we're going to gather around and we're going to call Sienna the common enemy. Sienna is the bad guy. Okay, we're going to hang Sienna out to dry. We're going to, you know, she's the martyr. Right? She's the scapegoat. Okay? Hang Sienna out to dry. Okay, great. So now you hang Sienna out to dry, and so then they're like, oh my God, she's always harassing you. She's a terrible person. And then he is, oh, these cute guys are now paying attention to me. Okay, and I want to be in the cute guys club. How do I get in the cute guys club? Throw Sienna under the bus? Okay. Yeah, I can't stand her. She's such a bitch. She doesn't know how to keep her hands to herself. This one time, she did this. This other time, she did that. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh my God, we should call the police on her right now. She's a terrible person. Okay? This is the other side of the coin, okay? But what we're seeing is we're seeing one side of the coin. We're not seeing the other side of the coin because it's an inconvenient truth, okay? All right? And you can't get completely accurate information unless you're actually looking at the other side of the truth. Okay? All right? Now, there's two ways that it could go down. Okay? Perhaps Dr. Honda understands this other side of the truth that I'm talking about. And he's like, you know what? I completely understand it, but I'm not about to go there. And I'm not about to, sacrifice my fan base and all this other types of stuff. So I'll just hold back and I just won't tell them anything. Okay? And I'll just let them, figure it out themselves. But the rest of the information is going to be accurate. Okay? So I will confirm nor deny that perhaps there's a good reason that Sienna did what she did. Okay? Because it's true. Right? Perhaps she was misled. Yeah, yes, it's not impossible that Sienna was misled. Right? We can all agree on that. It doesn't hurt the brand. Everything's great. What's worse is if he actually believes that there's zero chance that Sienna has any type of claim at all. Okay? For example, what if this kid, Tyler or whoever, let's say that, let's say he was doing it for the gram, right? That's what they call it now. That's what the kids call it, doing it for the gram. He's showing off for the gram. So all the groping and the humping and the kissing and the making out and the cute little memes and the, puppy dog BS that they had all over TikTok or whatever that they did together, right? It was all for the gram. He didn't really feel that way. He's really gay, right? But she didn't know that. She didn't know that it was all for the gram. Okay? And so he prostituted himself out in that case. Right? And I'm not saying that he did or not. I'm just saying that there's a possibility that this could happen. This does happen. This is reality. Okay? But guess what? This wonderful, great person that we look up to doesn't show that. Doesn't show that this is a possibility. Doesn't show that this is a side. He doesn't even think it in his own mind. That is the worst case scenario, that he doesn't recognize it himself. It's a slightly better scenario if he recognizes it and he's like, you know what, I'm just not going to go there because I don't want to have these arguments. I don't want my platform to be at risk. I'm just going to let it slide. Okay? But, I don't know. I just, this is my gripe with Dr. Honda. It really gets under my skin. It has gotten under my skin. For the longest time, I have written a lot of emails. There's literally no change to anything, that I've seen as far as any type of delivery. I'm a huge fan of what he does. His ability to alter relationships and smooth out relationships is second to none. Okay, it's been proven extremely invaluable, piece in my tool set or whatever. Yet there's a lot of other things that I'm starting to see that just, it's like a Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz, great car, not as reliable as a Honda, but it's a great car. It's beautiful, it's luxurious. It's still not as reliable as a Honda. It has all these great things, but it's still not as reliable as a Honda, right? But then you could argue that, hey, Hondas are not necessarily the most luxurious car, right? There's no rule that says that you can't combine the best of both worlds, reliability and luxury as well. So that's my take. Sorry for talking long-winded. Nobody will listen to this. It'll probably go in one ear and out the other if somebody does listen to it. Nobody feels the way that I feel. They're probably, just accept everything that he says and without any type of second thought. And if he says something confusing, they'll just you know, say, oh, well, this is what he really meant. You see what I'm saying? Why he say that himself? He can't say that himself. He can't say, oh, well, it's not like, oh, the 26-minute video can't turn into a 28-minute video. Seriously? You just had to leave that part out where, yes, it is this, but it's also this at the same time, so don't get it confused. Can't say that? That's all I'm saying. So anyway, this is Daddy of Erotica Magazine, Erotica Magazine Online, and until next time, ciao.